Welcome to Daggerheart Characters. Today, we're just going to be looking at a subclass for the BARD class. I call it the Magician. You can play the Magician if you want to master the art of deception. You can play the Magician if you want to play a magician, right? That's the theme we're going for here, and we're going to take some old classic magician tricks and turn them into mechanics for the game that you can have some fun with. I think this is a pretty fun class, subclass that I've made here that I find highly playable. So, spellcast trait is going to be Presence. For the foundation features for this subclass, we have the Disappearing Act. Actually, before we get into this, just quick plug, reminder, if you're liking this stuff, this is the first one, welcome in. But if you've watched other videos, please subscribe. That'll help me gauge the type of, where this channel's heading, but also like the video, comment on it. All those things help to let YouTube know that you're liking it. And of course, also let me know that you're liking it. And that's appreciated. And I have seen some pretty quick growth. I'm not saying anything crazy blowing up, but it is nice to see that these have been making it out, and for the most part it seems like people have at least found it inoffensive, at the very least, to somewhere around liking it. So welcome in, everybody, and let's keep on going with this subclass build. Once again, turning some magic tricks into fun here. Disappearing Act. So make a spellcast roll of 13 on a willing ally within very close range. On a success, your ally becomes cloaked, and they may teleport to anywhere within far range. If they are still cloaked the next time that they make an action roll, they get advantage on the roll, and they may resolve the roll from either their original location or their new location. After the action, they are considered to be at the chosen location from which their action was resolved. So, I couldn't just make them not be anywhere for any kind of period of time where the GM could be doing something that would cause damage to an area of effect, or even potentially cause them to become uncloaked here. So that's why I have like somebody moving. But the idea here is that, yeah, you're kind of in between two. You've disappeared for a while, and you're like in the real act. Usually, the idea is that they're far away, but also, in reality, they're really not. They're just under stage, or they're behind a trapdoor right behind where they disappeared from, something like that. So the reality is that if it's more advantageous for that player, by the time that their move comes around, when they're actually going to be doing something to be back where they originally were, there you go. But if the GM were to do an area of effect, we do have to have some sort of location for them to be at, because just because they're cloaked doesn't mean that they're immune to damage. So that's the idea behind those mechanics. So it ends up being a little convoluted in reading it. Like, I think you might have to read that twice just to get it. So if they're cloaked, the next time that they make an action roll, they gain advantage on the action roll, and they may resolve whatever they're going to do from either the location where you made them disappear from, or the location that they might have moved to. They might not have a new location. They might have said, I'm just staying right where I'm at. Now I'm just cloaked. That's always possible, too. You get the idea. So that's going to bring us on to the rabbit in a hat trick. And I think this has the potential to make do a lot of shenanigans, and in part, because of that, this is, once again, going to be written fairly loosely and leaves a lot of interpretation on how you may, what you can do exactly with this, up to you. And I think that's a lot of how Daggerheart is written already, so I do think it fits in for that reasoning. So, rabbit in a hat, once per session. You can make a spellcast roll, 13. On a success, you can cause a small object, roughly the size of, your hand, a piece of paper, no, a piece of paper folded in half, yes, that kind of idea would be roughly where I'm at with this. But, up to your interpretation. Within close range, so they can cause a small object within close range that you can either see or is in an exact location that you are aware of. So you can't just guess if you're aware of where something is and it is still there, then this would work. If you are aware of where it should be and it's not currently there, obviously this wouldn't work. And you can cause that small object to vanish and then reappear to anywhere within close range of the object's original location. So up to like 25 feet, I think, right? You may choose where it reappears. A pocket, a pouch, a hat, a hand, etc. So you can get into a whole lot of shenanigans. You can plant things on other people. You could move something from one location that's not on you into the pocket of somebody to plant it right on them. Right in the thick of things, if you needed to or wanted to. You can steal items that you happen to know where they are while you're talking to the owner of that item right in front of their face. That is the fun magic of Rabbit in a Hat. I think it's a lot of fun. And let's move on to the specialization features for this subclass. We got Sleight of Hand. Add a d4 to all finesse rolls. At 8th level, it becomes a d6. Yeah, I mean, you are quite adept at controlling things, and you're dexterous. You've got some good control over things with your hands, essentially. And then you've got Stage Fright here. When an adversary targets you and fails or misses, they must make a presence reaction roll of 10. So it's not incredibly hard for anybody, especially if they have any points in their presence. However, on a failure, they do become temporarily restrained. And this works on every attack that misses you. So I think this is a pretty fun, flavorful way that you as the magician can just kind of scare the pants off of people a little bit with just the look in your eyes, a little Chris Angel. You get a little crazy too. So that's the flavor fun of that one. I think it's a pretty cool feature. And then you have your mastery feature, Real World Magic. Choose a 4th level or lower domain card from each of the Midnight and the Arcana domains. These cards are always active and do not count against your loadout, so just 2 features from those. And I could say mastery feature, or I could say mastery features here, because I do have an optional mastery feature. I was not sure if this was powerful enough, too powerful, neither, somewhere in between. So I did come up with a final act here, so to speak, and literally that's the name of it, the final act. And so this is just another ability that I think how I would handle it if I was a GM is I would just say, well, let's just see. This is not a proven and tested subclass, so let's just see where we're at. Once you decide that you want to master in it. So after 8th level, you have a pretty good idea. And if you find that, you could always say, let's just do it for a level with Real World Magic alone. And then if we find that that's not quite enough, let's add in this feature. Because this feature, although very powerful, is also extremely limited to just once per session. So, I think it's fine to add this in, generally speaking, but I'm not 100% sure on that. The final act, you can predict the future. At the beginning of each session, roll your duality dice. You choose the result of either the hope die or the fear die, and you can store it for later use. What is that use? Well, once per session, after you or an ally rolls their duality dice, you can replace the corresponding die, hope or fear die, with the die that you stored at the beginning of the session, your hope or fear die. So obviously a hope die with a hope die, fear die with a fear die. That should be obvious. And you cannot use this ability to create a critical success, so no hoarding it, just waiting for that right opportunity. And then, because that's what you would just do every time if that was possible, and that's kind of lame. And then at the end of the session, you clear the die if you did not use it. So you actually can't use it to create a critical success. It can't even be, oh, well, it just so happens to be the same number. No, it's not going to create a critical success, even if they're the same number, is the idea. You cannot use this ability to create a critical success. So the GM could interpret that either way. Either, sure, you could have a 12 and a 12 hope and the fear die, and you get a success with hope. It's not critical. Or, no, you cannot add a 12 to another 12, because you cannot create a critical success. Whichever one works, whatever, for the GM. So yeah, and then if you happen to not use this, obviously you cannot carry it over to your next session. Session over, too late, you didn't use it. So that is my Magician subclass build. I think she's a fun one, and I hope somebody takes her out for a spin and lets me know what kind of shenanigans you get up to, especially with this rabbit in the hat trick. But I do think that this disappearing act is a fun little shenanigan-esque mechanic that you can use in combat, and if you're really getting a little bit meta with it too, you could probably do some pretty fun things. And then, yeah, it's not the craziest subclass ever, so I would think that there's a pretty good chance that your GM might say yes to this. If you are interested in this, I do have it written up. There's a link in the description. I should have said that earlier. I forgot to. So thank you very, very much for tuning on in. Link in the description to this write-up. And if you come back with feedback, if you do end up using it, first of all, let me know if you're going to plan on using it. And come back, let me know any feedback. And I will update. If somebody comes back with some good feedback in the comments, I will update these kinds of class builds and subclass builds. All right, peace out.